we go.
Welcome in.
Fun.
I'm crying. I want to make sure Marcus Smart's okay, but we'll keep
Moral
At least
victory.
Jimmy's back. Yeah, Jimmy back.
We do it. Wait, didn't we have Jimmy last game?
Yeah, we did on Wednesday.
It was 2 games ago we didn't have Jimmy.
Oh, 2 games ago. Yeah, that's right.
That layoff caused the COVID fog.
We're still not over it, Jimmy. That's
I was gonna say it kind of feels like you just missed me.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Jimmy, you're a little quiet right now. You got to get closer to a microphone or speak up.
I'm quiet.
Yeah.
Project. Use your lungs.
So
He's bummed out. He's worried about Marcus.
Get angry.
All right, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna put my headphones. I usually don't, but I'm going to. Well, I usually do, but I didn't this time. But I'm going to try to.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about that last play.
Well, let's just. I mean, first of all,
let's
talk about what
there?
got us there. Let's talk about before we got there.
I mean, all of it, the whole friggin' thing. We talked about it. It was a sloppy friggin' game. I don't know how you don't. I mean, this is we're officially concerned about Kemba Walker game, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You know, we got you, Jimmy. Yeah, we talked about this last time, and it's like, okay, everyone's going to give a player of Kemba's caliber the benefit of the doubt because he's Kemba, and you can lose, whatever, and so be it. A game or two, and have him not perform well, and he's just getting started, and you let him ramp up. And you're like, okay, eventually the shot's going to start falling. But when we were texting earlier in the game before it even got really, really bad, like, what is he doing out there? I mean, that's positively affecting the game right now. And the answer is 0. And that's a concern. You have to hope eventually the shots start falling. But right now, he's just brutal. It lasted all game long, and you can't get a better look than what he had there at the end of the game. I mean, that Kemba should make 9 out of 10 of those. That's his game.
That's his shot.
That's his shot. That you get in tight, you get a little separation, that pull up Jay, that's him all day long. You've got to drill that.
Yeah, I'll give credit to Dennis. I'll give Dennis Schroeder some credit for getting back. He had an awesome game defensively on the offensive end. He ended up having the game-winning bucket actually for LA. He made a good effort there. You know what I thought was a big problem, and this is what we've talked about all year, is Semi Ojeley's out there. And I'll give Semi Ojeley credit. He gets the stop. He gets the double that sets that up. Awesome defense. But what happens when Brown finally gets control of the ball and kicks it out to Semi on the right wing? Semi's wide open, goes, take it, Kemba, and whips it across the court. He didn't have confidence to take that shot there. And again, you would have lost your mind, John, if he did, because he probably wouldn't have made it. But you'd like to have a guy in that position there who could knock that down.
Just wait. It's too early for this. Too early for this shit, buddy.
I dissed the other one, man. It's we're good now. Trust me, we're good.
Too early for this.
Not tonight, bud. Hey,
there's like 2 levels of the Brockton Wi-Fi, and I'm on the good level now. So we're good.
Okay, I
want to make sure I'm on the good side so this doesn't happen later on.
I'm a little wired right now, so my tolerance is very low.
It's nothing slick. I had to make sure I had to correct this now, so I corrected it.
I'm a little jacked up right now.
Big question. Should they have called timeout?
Yeah, obviously. I hate sloppy, frenetic, race up the court sort of stuff, so the timeout is automatic. But at the end of the day, could you have drawn up a better shot than Kemba Walker with an uncontested 12-foot pull-up? I mean,
I didn't think it was a perfect shot. The defense was good.
I mean, he got a clean a look as you're going to get.
That's a clean look, John, but also it wasn't his night. He wasn't playing well tonight. He wasn't shooting well. And I know Kemba's the one to sort of go 1 for whatever, 1 for 5, and then hit the big one at the end. But this is different, right? Kemba, he's still ramping up here. It's a tough spot to be in. He shouldn't have been in that spot.
Tough matchup for him. Huge.
If he shouldn't have been in that spot, then he shouldn't be on the court. Okay? If he's on the court, he's on the court to score. That's it. Okay? Otherwise, he serves no purpose. So, of course, I'm saying if he's there to score the basketball. So I don't want to hear it's not his night and he shouldn't be in that spot. If he's on the floor at that time, he's on there for his scoring prowess. That's why he's on the floor. Okay? I mean, obviously, Marcus is out. You don't have really many other options. But
right.
I mean, we're talking before about, okay, you don't want Grant or Grant. Is Grant alive? Anyone check in on Grant?
Who cares?
To be continued.
John.
To be continued. We'll talk about it another time.
You don't want Grant. You don't want Semi taking those shots. You can't cross Kemba off that list. Of course you want Kemba Walker taking a shot like that.
Right.
Too bad Marcus
Here's the
Smart
thing,
was
guys,
out there.
Guys, we there are games where we joke about Grant and we joke about Semi and we joke about, whatever guy, player X off the bench. Bottom line tonight is Marcus Smart went down tonight and we're still not completely sure what happened. I'm hoping for the best, that it is just a calf strain. I actually am a doctor and I do believe that's what it is. So hopefully that's all it becomes. But when Kemba Walker just misses a shot, we can't we can't, obviously we will because that's what we do, but that's who we want taking the shot. And I know John is way, way more on the side of it's got to be Jalen, it's got to be Jason. But I think John would also say that he's fine with Kemba taking a wide open 12-foot jumper, and if he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it.
No, I'm not.
I
didn't say it was a bad shot. I said it was a tough shot.
It's not a bad shot, but
it was not a tough shot, and it wasn't a bad shot. And I absolutely want Kemba taking that, even though he was ice cold all game.
Oh, there was no other option at that point. Aside from timeout, I would have called timeout.
Right, but in that sense, he got a great shot.
I'm a huge timeout guy. I would, if you have a timeout, if you have a time, take the timeout. If you're Danny Ainge, and everyone says this, Danny Ainge went out of his way to hire Brad Stevens. When Danny Ainge hired Brad Stevens, however years ago it was, we were like, who is this guy? And
all I know is it ruined the July holiday of mine. That's all. That's what I remember.
Exactly. Well, not only that, but they also traded.
I was ready to bag out. It was a short day, and I was at NBC, and I was the only grown up there, and I was ready to go. I was ready to call it at like 2:00. All right, guys, have a nice weekend. I'll see you in 2 weeks, starting a vacation, and they friggin' hired Brad.
But they also traded. Didn't the Bruins trade Sagan?
Sagan, because Canadians on 4th of July, because Canadians have no regard for our holidays and traditions.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is this: you're bringing in a guy like Brad Stevens, so he's the type of coach who you bring in for these type of situations, right? Am I right or am I wrong in that?
And he, in those spots before when the game's out of control, I remember Jared Sullinger way back had fallen on a ball, and there was other late game finishes like that. He called timeout in those spots to figure it out because the game had completely lost control and things were breaking down and time was running out. And even though you want to have some open floor, I think it was a 3-on-2 there that the Celtics were out on. But Semi essentially made it a 2-on-2 by passing up that shot. So I would have called
it.
That's another thing too, though. He did. Brad Stevens has all-stars now, right? I mean, those teams, you do that when you have unproven talent, young, unproven talent. You call a timeout and you draw. You go to the drawing board and use a play that everyone's going to understand because of what their skill set. But when you have players like this, I don't blame Brad. You don't have Marcus Smart. You have one of your toughest guys, your toughest defenders not out there. Obviously, Celtics had the ball in that instance, but I think he liked his chances in that, that's come up with a clean look, and he did. To John's point, that was a good look. That's as good of a look you're going to get in that situation. Just able to knock.
It's a clean look, but let's be honest. We know Brad Stevens, according to Celtics Twitter, Celtics reporters, everybody in the world. Brad Stevens coming out of a timeout has the best plays in the book to get his guy the shot that needs to get the shot. And I agree with you guys. That look from Kemba Walker is a look that you'll take 100 times out of 100 times. It's a make-miss league, right? And at the end of the day, it's, a 60% chance that it goes in and it didn't go in. However, if you're on the John Zannis school of thinking, you'd rather have Tatum or Brown taking that shot.
You would, but again, I
know. And
can't
John,
argue with that shot.
It.
Yeah,
you're not and I'm not either. But at the same time, if you're Brad Stevens, why not just call the timeout unless you're worried about the opposition putting in some certain player?
He might have liked the numbers. He might have thought LA was scrambling.
Exactly.
It's a moment situation. Right. It's kind of a 3-on-2.
So why not draw up a play?
I think once it got a little unsettled and you almost lost it again, and Jalen's dribbling it out in that corner right there. That was like then it was starting to get loose.
When that's where I'm stunned he didn't.
When they started up the court, I would not call a timeout, but they did almost lose it there. And at that point, I might have calmed it down. But
I think right when Brown finally controlled that ball,
that's when they should have called it because he's got his back to the basket at the 3-point line. and he's nowhere. There, he doesn't know what's around him right there.
And they lost time going through semi panicking a little bit there and firing it off. That's like 2 seconds off the clock there, and then it comes down to 6 with Kemba on the ball. And
right,
Jimmy, finish what you're saying, Jimmy. Sorry.
My only question is this: what wins, offense or defense, in the NBA or really in any sport, especially football, basketball? Offense always beats defense. So if you call a timeout, you obviously are on offense. You can drop a play. You know exactly what you're getting. You have option A, option B, option C. Just call the timeout, and then live with what you end up with. That's my thing. And again, they ended up getting a good clean shot tonight. So if Kemba hits it, it's a completely different story tonight. But that being said, I've always said this, and I'm not going to sway from it. I've always leaned on calling the timeout. You have if you have a good team and you have a good coach and you have a good game plan, you should be able to drop a play to give yourself an advantage at the buzzer.
Daniel Tice, too. I know the commenters are losing their mind at that one. He was right there. 1 second left, clear look at the basket, and bricks it. And he did that a couple times in this game. He obviously put a putback in for LeBron James that ended up being one of the deciding baskets on LeBron's missed 3. Tice had bad hands in this game, and
but he's still
at the rim a lot.
He's still a net positive in this game because he played so well for most.
I think he had a good game, but some costly mistakes. But the Celtics as a whole did. They got out to a 7-0 turnover differential to start the fourth. Tatum had a travel, got stripped by LeBron at the top of the line. The miscues were through the roof in this one. And what stinks is the Lakers, as you said, John, played an awful game. They were sloppy in their own right.
Sleepwalking. LeBron.
Winnable game.
30% in this game.
LeBron was just jacking threes all game
long.
long.
Didn't get LeBron. This was like a LeBron conserving energy game. Like I played, it's the Celtics, national TV. I didn't want to sit it out. Any other team, I probably don't play tonight. End of this trip. It was. This had a game where
that's it, John.
Celtics could have run them off the court if the Celtics were a little better early, and they would have. Lakers would have run and hide. They run and hid.
LeBron does not play this game if it's not a Celtics-Lakers game.
They didn't give a crap about this, and when they were in it, they're like, "All right, I guess we'll hang around."
Yeah, and I think the best evidence of that was those plays down the stretch. When the Celtics forced those turnovers down the stretch, you could just tell they were gassed. Right? And mentally, they were probably more exhausted than the Celtics, and I thought this was a golden opportunity for the Celtics. But I can't put a lot of fault on Daniel Tice. I mean that putback. I mean, let's not. His putbacks are. He was wide open, impressive, but in that moment, though, that's a tough spot to be in. And he's played one hell of a game for Daniel Tice. I was more worried that he was going to commit another crucial foul down the stretch than he did. But he was ready to survive it. I can imagine Jason Tatum just wanted one more look at that last play, man. That
for
must
sure.
really
I never saw him come into the picture though, at least on time.
Yeah.
He got there after Semi fired that shot off. And again, if you go back and watch that, perfect defense from Schroeder. I'm not gonna fault. See, I'm gonna go in the other direction from you, Josue. I'm not gonna fault Kemba as much as I am Tice there. Tice had no resistance at the basket. You're a center. You're 6'10".
For the putback?
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but it's a higher degree of difficulty shot, even though you are a 6'10" center. You don't know where that thing's bouncing off.
And a step back too, fade away over good defense.
We take that for granted. The ball comes off the rim. You don't know. You've jumped already. You don't know how much time. You're trying to get it back.
Yeah, and plus this is Tice. He always jumps early.
That's a tough. That's not a gimme. I know it looks it because what? Come on, Jimmy.
Jimmy is.
Your screen went black, buddy.
Yeah, that was weird. Your screen's doing things I didn't know it could do.
We're talking about that. We're talking about
that. Did you guys see when it stretched earlier? What was that? How'd you even do that, Jimmy? Now he's frozen. Wait, are you frozen? No.
I just gotta. I'm gonna reset. I'm on a massive.
He's on horrible.
No, you're good. You're good.
Keep the boat moving.
Little sauce.
Look what you did, John. You teased him. Man.
Little sauce for Jimmy tonight.
You bullied him out the show. Jeez.
I think, yeah.
Jimmy, don't take that from John, man. Just stay next time.
I did not bully him.
Kind of.
John's trying to keep a rigid professional show here. Come on.
All right. I'm going to say what most Celtics fans are going to say, that stating the obvious here, but maybe it's not so obvious. But if Marcus Smart doesn't get hurt, Celtics win this game. Look, their whole body language, their whole demeanor changed after he left, right?
If Marcus shot,
I just don't think the Celtics, I was surprised that they were in it in the end of it, And of course, a lot of that had to do, or all of it had to do with Tatum making those tough shots down the stretch.
Look, this game was basically, here's the thing. I hate moral victories. Beating the 1-point loss to the Lakers, it was garbage. Celtics played a garbage game, but you can't not feel good about, a team that has Tatum and Brown when you see them play like this on this stage. You could surround them with friggin' anything, and you're going to be in every single game for the most part. And that's always a good feeling. But the Smart thing, again, they just don't have enough bodies right now. So let's go over it right now. Anybody in the chat sees anything, any info, by all means throw it. I'm all over Twitter right now. They say calf strain, but the fear here is Achilles. There's a lot of people on Twitter right now saying that's when
the way he was screaming.
When you roll your Achilles, you feel it shooting up your calf. To go down in a heap like that and in that much pain, that's a scary friggin' thing. And if it's
that's what worries me. Yeah,
he couldn't put any pressure on it. Yeah,
that's the season. That's the beginning of next season.
The way he was screaming, I've never seen him hurt like that.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me or no?
Yeah, you're good, Jimmy. Just come on in. Man.
So
jump in.
Watching the replay a few times, because I was, obviously scarred by it. I just can't see how it could be that serious based on
That's how the Achilles goes.
I know, but it was so.
But it's not acute.
I get it, John.
All the time.
It was even less than what I know it to be.
But you see that all the time. Guys are standing there, and all of a sudden they just start hopping up and down. It just snaps and it rolls up on you, and that's it. It's usually because it's either strained or frayed or something. And
I'm hoping strained. That's what I mean. Listen, when Pritchard went down, I was like, you know what, that looks bad, but it didn't look like ACL tear level bad. And when Marcus Smart went down tonight, I was like, that looks bad, but
we don't know. We don't know.
I know
sure.
we don't know. I know we don't know, but I am a doctor. No, I'm just kidding.
Obviously, don't say that, man. Bobby's crossed. He's got fingers crossed. He's got everything going on over there, right? Bobby got all the good luck right now.
We don't know, but I watched the replay 30 times because I'm trying to trick myself into thinking it's not that bad. So obviously, I'm not trying to break any news, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I will say this: that it didn't look crazy. It just didn't. So if it is, then it is. But I'm hanging on to the fact that it didn't look that bad.
You might be right. I think there's an equal chance you and John are right. In John's defense, though, I will say it brings back the memory of that KD initial injury, not the knockout one, but the first one that they call the calf sprain.
He was cussing up a storm because he knew it right when it happened. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
And then they ended up bringing him back later, and then he actually did tear it down the line. So there's a connection there. It's one line that goes through your leg to the bottom. You're going to see some calf damage.
Bobby,
I'm thinking about the second time he heard it. When I think it was the first quarter, it was early. He let himself out. I was like, I'm done. He knew right away.
Yeah, it always looks like that. That's what John said.
That's what it reminded me of.
What were you saying, Jimmy?
What, Bobby? I'm asking you. I don't want to ask John. I want to ask you. What did John say about it? Because I don't want to ask John. I don't want to hear his thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts based on what he said. Because we all know John would have. When it came to Kemba Walker, John would have chosen a torn ACL. He already said this. He would have rather Kemba Walker have a torn ACL than have in his words, degenerative knee issue. So we already know John.
Which 100 out of 100 people should agree with. The ACL you recover from, degenerative by definition means.
But it might not be that.
Degenerative tonight.
But
it's literally the definition of the injury. Would you want one that heals or one that gets worse?
Yeah, but John, you diagnosed him with degenerative knee issue is my point. That's my point. Nobody else did but you. So I'm not going to let you diagnose Marcus Smart tonight. That's why I asked Bobby. Thank you.
I'm Bobby, not diagnosing Marcus Smart. I'm giving you my worst case fear.
Well, that's what you gave. That's what you gave about Kemba Walker. You're like, I'd rather.
I asked $1,000. Degenerative is bad.
Nobody said degenerative but you, though.
All the doctors it's arthritis. It's an arthritic knee. It's bone on bone. That gets worse.
Fine.
It doesn't heal.
To be fair, Jimmy,
That's the medical consensus on what's going on.
You learn to live with it.
I didn't watch the injury.
John reads the medical reports.
But I think at this point, John, based on what you've seen from Kemba Walker, I think you would rather not have him have an ACL tear, based on what you've seen since he came back. That's what I would say, anyways.
You'd rather have him on the team. We've always had this conversation, but yeah, you'd rather have him than not.
That's not the point. The point is, what are we talking? Because I bounced out because I got a random call. Maybe it was a girl. No big deal. I got a random call. What are we talking about here about Marcus Smart?
Marcus Smart, if you look at the replay,
I'm not saying a thing. I don't get an opinion.
You don't. You don't get the first opinion. You can counter, but I want to hear Bobby first.
Let's go around the horn, guys. Go for it.
I'm going to validate John because in the replay, when they showed the point of injury, Smart had his leg bent back in a way that put extra pressure on the back of his foot there and made me fear the Achilles, because usually you feel it in the calf, and usually that initial diagnosis is a calf strain, and then they're going to do some imaging on the Achilles and see what happened there. You might be right, Jimmy. I mean, that's the scare in these moments. You might not have a full tear. You might have just had some extra pressure that burst up his calf there and just ended up resulting in a Charlie horse. But it's always a scary sight when you come up lame and you can't walk.
I get it. I totally get it.
Calf diagnosis was the worst part of it because they always say that for the Achilles.
And he couldn't walk. He couldn't walk.
That's the worst part. And again, nobody here is saying we know he hurt his Achilles. We are simply saying the worst fear when someone goes down like that and they call it a calf injury is Achilles. If it's a calf strain, great. That's a few weeks and you're back. That's fine. Calf strain would be great. My first thought was, let's hope it's a cramp, because they straightened out what I saw when they straightened out his right leg. Yeah. And I was like, maybe he cramped up everywhere. And, and that was the thing. And they were just trying to straighten him out. And, but that's the fear. They say the calf and you're like, oh God, fingers crossed. Don't be Achilles, because Achilles is over. And a calf strain, you come back from in a couple of weeks and you're fine. So,
you know what's certain though?
That's it.
We don't know any of this, but you know what's certain. If he did not leave the game, he would have taken that last shot where Semi Ojeleye was, all things being equal. And we would have had another Smart segment instead of this one.
John would have been the guy that we would have been. I hope he's healthy. I hope he's going to be okay.
So once again,
John would have came in hot. Would have been like, "That's the Marcus Smart shot I can't stand. That's it." Right.
Can't have nuanced conversations. I don't like Marcus Smart shooting 15 times a game. Marcus Smart is a valuable player to the Celtics. I hope he's not hurt. Can we live somewhere in the middle there, people? Jesus, is this so hard?
Not anymore, John. Not anymore, because we're not going to see him for a long time.
Shots a game doesn't mean I want him to blow out his Achilles.
Right. No. Obviously, John, like that's the difference between, the crazy right and the crazy left, is that you can't meet in the middle. Like, nobody wants anybody to die. We just want it to be the way we want it to be. Like, you don't want Marcus Smart to, disintegrate into existence. You just want him to take less shots. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I'm still holding out hope that it's not as bad as some people think it might be. And I'm not going to sit here tonight and speculate on health. John, you've got a couple health experts in your phone. Maybe you can.
I just texted one. I'm waiting.
Yeah, maybe you can shoot him a text. Maybe, hopefully, depending on what
his boy.
depending on what they respond, you can relay that information. If it's the worst case scenario, maybe hold off. I don't want to ruin everybody's.
Yeah, let's talk about the game.
Everybody's.
You know what? You gotta say. In the meantime, while we wait for that text message to come in, John, let me ask you this: What did you think about the Rob Williams and Daniel Tice tandem?
Well, let's notice.
Did it not look better than you thought it would? No.
I thought it looked outstanding.
Let's notice the name we're excluding from this list, which is Tristan, who has.
This is what you. Yep, this is what you want to do.
Clearly, at this point. And again, we're a game ahead of people. Okay, we've talked about we're 1 or 2 games ahead of the trend.
We saw this coming.
We talked about Tristan Thompson starting to slip into the background.
And the starter. And then he was the backup.
Is he the second guy? Is he the third guy? And as soon as Rob got his COVID legs under him, boom, he passed him too. Tristan Thompson is clearly the third big man on this team now. And you watch tonight, the eye test doesn't tell you any different. It's not just minutes, it's just the players right now.
Before we start, is this apology cam worthy? I'm only asking. I'm not saying it should be, but is it?
Tristan, Bobby kind of sort of did it last time. I almost feel bad.
Well, I wasn't on the show when he did it. I wasn't on the show when he did it.
No, Bobby's a little upset about Tristan too.
I've been bummed.
He's sad. I don't want to make him apologize. He's sad.
Okay, fine. He might be sad, but let's be real about one thing. We made the apology cam for a reason. So if we're using it, if Bobby wants to use it, he has to say it. We have
Jimmy, there are many factors that go into an apology cam. It's much more complex than you're able to comprehend.
Than my brain can comprehend. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Bobby, you start.
Bobby's so nervous right now. He's like, I'm not apologizing. I'm
gonna leave time.
He's like, please don't put the camera on.
I'm gonna leave time for him to ramp up, for him to get back to his form. I hope that's not impossible and it's just all a lost cause at this point, because then we'd be talking about a bad contract on the books that would be unmovable essentially for 2 years.
Oh, you mean like a Miles Turner?
No,
damn.
we can go
like
back to that.
Type untradeable contract. Is that what you mean, Bob?
I don't want to do that whole thing tonight because there's plenty of time for that.
I think we're not going to. But
I was trying to keep it positive.
How about this?
I don't think.
Let's keep it positive, for real.
I'm down. I like what I saw.
Keep it positive?
I like what I saw.
How good does Rob Williams look to you?
He came in that second half stretch, recorded a steal, a putback, a lob dunk, a breakout layup. Just play after play after play started piling up for him.
And he's a constant presence. His defensive presence is real. He affects shots. I mean, that he's there, and he's such a quick leaper. It makes his rebounding game is so much better than it's been this year over years past.
And this is what I said last game, Jimmy. If Miles Turner was here and you're dedicating $18 million to that guy, Rob doesn't get this level of opportunity, this kind of place to move up in the rotation and maybe become the starter at some point.
That's such a cop-up, Bobby, but go on.
The long game. We signed.
That's such a cop-up. Don't even get me started on that point. Are you serious?
There's a lot more to that. There's Grant Williams. There's Tice.
Bobby, are you serious with that point?
It's the reality of the situation.
No, it's not. It's really not the reality of the situation. You could actually play both of those guys. You could play both of those guys. You could play Jason Tatum at the 3. You could play Jaylen Brown at the 2. You could do so many different things with Miles Turner. I don't even want to get started on it.
Oh, so now you love double big?
It's a different double big, dude. I've never not loved double big, but
it just turns out just like Thompson.
It's a complete. I think we can all agree that Miles Turner is the complete opposite of Tristan Thompson. Can we not agree at that? Can we not agree?
I don't want to do the Miles Turner thing tonight.
I don't want to either, but Bobby just brought it up that if you had Miles Turner, Rob Williams would never spread his wings, which is completely bogus. But let's just talk about Rob Williams, because I will say this. I'm at the point now where, John, we talked about the fact that the Celtics have no tradable assets. If you are the Celtics, if you're
now they're Williams and Pritchard prior to injury.
Correct.
Well, we made this point, Jimmy. We made the point that if any Celtic became good enough to become a tradable asset, no one would want to trade them anymore.
Right.
Because now, do you want to throw in
Marcus Smart?
Do you want to throw in Rob Williams to sweeten a package with the TPE to get a serviceable wing rotation player? People will be like, no, I'd rather keep Rob at this point. So as soon as a guy gets good enough to be traded, he has value to you as well. So that was the thing at the moment, at the beginning of the season.
So let's see where this goes.
Very little value. Now they do.
There's two outcomes here. One, the Rob Tice lineup works and shows that double big can work.
Point.
No, I mean, these are just the two options here. If that works and double big does end up working and it was just a Thompson problem, then it's pretty clear what happened here. The Celtics should have traded for Miles Turner. That's the best player they're going to get in that situation. And then you could run double big with Turner and Rob and Tyson.
Of course they could, Bobby. Of course they could.
If the issue, Jimmy, is they still need a wing, then they needed the flexibility. They're going to eventually need to go out and get that wing down the line. And I still think that might be possible here. I don't love double big as a premise. I like 3 wings.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bobby.
We got spoiled.
This is a completely moot point. You throw, in a perfect world, let's not even say this year, next year, you have Rob Williams starting at center and you have Miles Turner starting at power forward. You have, we can just go down the line. I don't even tell you the starting lineup. That being said, it is what it is at this point, but that's pretty much what it comes down to. You don't really need to think about where it was or all those things. So
I think to Bobby's point, I think what worries me first is the nights when Daniel Tice is in foul trouble, which is like 80% of the nights, right? I mean, like that's what really complicates things, and especially if he's not doing much offensively. If he's not spreading the floor for you or not making things easier, then all of a sudden he's clogging the lanes. Him and Rob,
one foul from him tonight.
When you don't have someone in the wing to defend, and then now when you lose Marcus Smart, you're losing that defense on the in the backcourt and in some cases on the wing position. That's going to wear these guys really thin. And I just think it's inevitable. You're going to see Daniel Tice with at least 3 fouls by the end of the first quarter.
Here's the possibility, though, Joe.
On a nightly basis,
If you move him to the wing and have Rob playing more of an interior shot blocking role, which again, Brad's been looking for shot blocking. He's been saying this.
Yeah, I mean, look. Between the two of those two, like what they look like against the Lakers, I mean, if you see that sort of effort, that kind of energy, that sort of continuity against, 80% of the rest of the league, any other team pretty much, not named the Lakers, then you're in really good shape. But we haven't seen that much.
Here's one thing we can all agree on.
And it's going to be tough, Bobby, moving forward without Marcus Smart, because that's a huge anchor on the defense, right? That's your defensive anchor. So now you're going to be a bit exposed, up front with those guys.
Here's the one thing that we can all agree on. Rob needs to play more than 15 minutes a game.
I agree with that.
Point.
Yeah. At this point,
so that's my biggest thing. That's my biggest thing is that I'm a huge Brad guy. I'm not I know there's a lot of people in the comments, and I know there's a lot of people that watch the show and that just watch the Celtics that get frustrated with some of the substitutions or whatnot that Brad does or doesn't do. And I'm a big Brad guy. I think he's a smart coach, and I wouldn't want him to not be the coach of the team because I really don't know who should be the coach of the team. It's one thing to be like, oh, he's got to go. You got to know who needs to take his spot. But I will say this: I hope, and obviously I think I know Brad's a way smarter basketball mind than I am, but I would hope that Brad would see what a lot of other people see.
Jimmy.
What?
It's close.
It's close. I mean, it's. Could I coach his team? Maybe. But in most cases, I would choose Brad over me. But I think Rob Williams is severely, and I want to emphasize the fact that I'm saying severely, underplayed.
You know what it is, Jimmy?
I think that he needs 66% more minutes than what he's getting. For two reasons. Hold on.
He got there tonight. Yep.
Let me just say one thing.
Yeah,
for 2 reasons. One, because I actually think he's good, and
Brad did the thing you're telling him to do already. He did it tonight.
He needs to continue to do is what we want.
That's what I'm saying. It's one game, but if anyone's been watching this season, we know that one game he plays 26 minutes, one game he plays.
No, it's
9
a trend,
minutes.
Jimmy. It's a trend. Tristan played a season low 15 minutes tonight. He was the third big off the bench. Okay, for the second time in 2 nights. Granted, he played 23 the game before, but the game before that he played a season low 17 minutes. There's twice he's been under the 20-minute mark, and there are 2.
We have the COVID stuff in there too.
Yes, but there's 2 of the last 3 games. Okay, that he's fallen below 20 and fallen below these guys in the rotation. So
which is unacceptable.
Brad's right.
Guys,
I think he's got it.
This isn't going to be good, but hopefully I'm going to take Rob's word for it. Rob tweaked his thumb. He had his thumb wrapped during his presser. When asked about it, he replied, "I'm straight." So
it's a thumb. It means nothing. My point is this, guys.
Who needs thumbs?
You have a young athletic center on your team that, like, I mean, rarely this season is everyone like, wow, Rob's really killing them right now. You need to play him for two reasons. One, he's either going to help you or he's either going to become a tradable asset. And John, you mentioned it earlier in the show. They had no tradable assets going into the season, literally zero, unless you consider Marcus Smart one. Rob Williams is becoming one. So everyone who's like, oh, they've got the TPE, let's see what they can get. You can't just take the TPE and trade for somebody, right? So you actually have a low contract player with high upside in Rob Williams, and you have the TPE. Now you're in business. Now you can actually think about making a trade that can help you go from a second round team or an Eastern Conference team to an NBA Finals team. Am I right or am I wrong there?
I wouldn't trade Rob. I wouldn't trade Rob because
of course you wouldn't, Bobby. You wouldn't trade anybody on the team, Bobby.
No, but if you're looking at the big picture here, you expect Rob to be the center for years to come. I still think Tyson's out the door after this year.
Could you just draft? Could you just try to draft another center?
It's tough at center because it takes time.
It's not just trade Rob, not trade Rob. Okay, this is it's a much more nuanced discussion than that. You would absolutely load up every single person not named Jalen or Jason into any deal for a legitimate star. So
exactly,
if Beal is on the table, which he's not because they don't have enough there, you would roll up. You would literally say.
It needs to be centered around somebody.
Pick every asset.
No, I agree with you there, Jimmy.
But you don't roll it into an
average wing,
an average wing bench guy. There you don't. It's not worth it.
Of course not. But okay. But think about it. What's Rob Williams making? Nothing. But he's an asset now. He's a tradable asset. He's a player. He's not just a pick.
I think Tyson's too. I've said that all along, though.
He's an expiring contract, Bobby. We all know this. Like, he's an expiring contract.
But it's an asset. I think he's an expiring contract, which doesn't mean anything.
I think he's a good player.
I can't wait to see Pritchard back. I can't wait. I'm even more excited now. He's going to be like the new Marcus Smart, and everyone's going to love him even more. It'll be fun.
No NBA GM is licking the lips at Daniel Tice. Like, I mean, they're to be honest, like, they're not that different than us. Like, they're like they understand Daniel Tice's worth, but like at the end of the day, like John said, he's an expiring contract, and like he is what he is. Rob Williams is a guy that has way more worth than Daniel Tice, but you gotta play him. And he has to do his thing.
Do you think?
Am I crazy or what?
Do you think Marcus Smart tore his Achilles just because we were going to trade him for Lonzo Ball?
No. Ball is not coming
in. He tore his own Achilles
I'm
to
not
trade him for Lonzo Ball?
Because I'm not laughing because I think he tore. I don't think he tore his Achilles.
My editor over
I don't want him to have.
My editor over at Celtics blog sent this over, and it is fitting for our argument here about this two big lineup. 123 offensive rating, 82 defensive rating for Tyson Williams tonight. And we've said the same about Rob. Is Rob just an analytics?
About 80% of the league right there.
Is Rob just an analytics darling because he's not playing a lot of minutes, because he's playing second units? Well, he's out there against Davis, LeBron, and the Lakers tonight. And I know they weren't the Lakers at their height tonight, but he played real minutes in real crucial close game stretches of this where they dominated the Lakers when he played, and in a viable starting lineup or a lineup that can go in the crunch time there. I know why Brad took Rob out for Semi in that circumstance, so they could play a little bit of zone and have some stretching on the wings there, but I could have seen Rob closing this game if they had a lead.
This was the game that LeBron got away with tonight because there was no there, and I'm not a rah-rah Siskiyou guy, and John's gonna cringe at this, but I think that, if it's a packed Garden tonight, maybe they're up LeBron, this is a couple, maybe this, that, the other thing. Same with Anthony Davis. I don't think Anthony Davis is a tough NBA player. I think he's kind of soft, to be completely honest. I'll put that out there. I'll say AD's a little bit on.
This is how we should sign off the show. Just have Jimmy just keep going on and on.
Low key best moment of the night when Kyle Kuzma, knowing he was mic'd up before the game started, said that Lakers were trash. and that the Garden fans are real. That was great.
Straight up shat on the Lakers fan base.
Crowd. He's like, you think LA is cool? That's a bunch of posers. The stars come out there. Yeah. This is the real shit. That was great.
He's like, this is the real shit. He was screaming it into the mic.
Real quick, as we were crapping on Tristan Thompson, B-Rob over at BSJ just now just tweeted this out.
B-Rob, what up?
Tristan
I
Thompson.
love B-Rob.
Closing the month of January, Tristan Thompson averaged 4.4 points per game on 40% shooting for the month of January.
He's the worst center in the NBA right now.
Oh, Bobby, that had to hurt.
Bobby,
don't say it. Don't say it, Bobby.
You called him Giannis stopper?
If you're 0 on offense, if you're not contributing defensively, and your offensive rebounding isn't leading the scoring, he's not doing anything. He's not.
He's not doing anything. So Ryan, we've been talking about this, and I've been saying this throughout, so it's not new. But Ryan Bernardoni tweeted it earlier in the night, and it's what we've been talking about, what I've been banging on for the last little bit on these two players. Tristan needs to play way better defensively, and Kemba needs to play way better offensively for this team right now, because that's all they exist to do right now. And Tristan is not playing any defense at all.
You've made this argument, John, and right now it's true. I don't think it's
right now. I'm just saying it needs to happen. I'm not saying it's a settled argument. I'm not arguing that they're done forever. I'm saying they have to be better at the things they do, or else this team's in trouble. Kemba Walker has to score and be a more efficient scorer than he is right now. And Tristan Thompson has to play defense, or else he's useless. Useless right now.
Yeah, I'm going to say this.
Panther in this spot would be filling a better role. He would.
I'm going to say this right now. I think Tristan Thompson is lonely. So what I'm going to do right now on the show is I want 5 people who are watching the show tonight. I want them to tweet Khloe Kardashian and tag Tristan Thompson and tag me in it and say, yo,
he's gonna say that. You gotta tag
I'm going to
Jimmy.
say, yo, Khloe, we need you in Boston right now. Tristan's lonely. He ain't the Tristan that we know who he is, and he needs some companionship. If you do that and tweet me, I'm gonna follow back the first 5 people who do that tweet, because I actually believe I think Tristan Thompson might be
DM, man. Just go ahead.
I think Tristan Thompson might be a little bit lonely tonight. So
you don't
Jimmy
have to use this little
Toscano,
contest to talk to Khloe, man. If you want to,
Jimmy _Toscano, Tristan Thompson, whatever his Twitter handle is, whatever Khloe's Twitter handle is. I need 5 people. The first 5 people, I'm going to follow them back, because I think Tristan Thompson needs a little bit of community. And you can, whatever the tweet is, it has to be respectful. It cannot be, if it's disrespectful, that doesn't count. And I'm
sure there's going to be a lot of respect after this loss.
I won't deal with disrespectful tweets. So if you do that, I don't want anything part of it. I want respectful tweets, but if you do that, I think that might help. We need Khloe in Boston. I think Tristan needs a little home cooking, a little loving, and I think he's going to be just fine. But that's my recipe for success for Tristan Thompson right now.
My faith is waning, but I think there's a chance he could get to a better place by the postseason. I don't know if you're holding out any hope, John.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's way down the road, which is, that's why it isn't a humongous issue. But in the grand scheme of things, it sort of is, because he was supposed to be different, right? And it's a really important spot for the Celtics team, especially going up against elite.
It was a big signing. It was a lot of money they could have used in a lot of different places.
Yeah. But I'm really not that surprised, honestly. Let's wait and see until we find that momentum. But I'm just really not. I'm not as surprised as some of these other, Celtics fans. But how about Aaron Nesmith though?
Oh, let's find something else.
He's gonna get the green light, John. There's no Marcus Smart. He better play.
They tried.
We put Jeff Teague out there to defend.
They tried.
He has to play.
They tried. Look, he had that one handsy foul early. Then he drew an offensive foul, which was a nice play. Missed an open 3 before that, and then was standing out of bounds on another 3. You just can't do that many bad things in that.
John, it's the first time he's playing against LeBron freaking James, man. Give the kid a break.
Yeah.
Give the kid a break, man. It's the Lakers, man. It's the weight of it.
That's trying.
Yeah, he's trying, but I
Trying to
think
work with him. Yeah,
I like what he's been doing with Neesmith. I like that he didn't just throw him in there at the first 5 games when people were calling for it. Again, I think this West Coast trip is going to be good for him. It's going to be beneficial for him, and hopefully we'll see Pritchard. I don't know. I don't think Pritchard is that far behind. He's talking about being 50% or above, over 50% there from recovering. Maybe another week. We'll see.
So this is the concerning thing about where they're at right now as a team. They're what, 10-8 now? Yeah, 10-8.
Hold on, Bobby. Let me finish that sentence for you. The most concerning thing I would say is I'm looking forward to the 2 rookies instead of the 2 free agents that they signed.
And they get there. Yeah,
that's wild.
We were in a place waiting for Kemba where we said, or at least I said, if they're 500, if they scrape by, it'll look good when everything's back. Well, now everything's back. The offense has gotten worse. The defense is still bad. The rotations are even more in flux. Like all of a sudden they're using more players than ever before trying to find something that works. Yeah. And we're sitting here saying Aaron Nesmith's going to come back and save it all. And all of a sudden our biggest hope left is Aaron Nesmith coming back and gluing everything together. John, you can't
make this stuff up, Bobby. It's the Celtics. I swear it's the Celtics every year, man.
John, it's early. There's changes to be made. There's a lot to happen, but I'm getting worried about this team. The sample's growing, and it's not great right now. I mean, there's no doubt they're worse than last year, which we all expected, but now that it's coming and everybody's back and Kemba's in the fold, I expected there to be progression, and so far there's been regression. And if Smart's hurt, forget about it. All of a sudden, who knows where they're going to go?
Yeah, I mean, listen, those 2 best players on the Celtics team, though, they're going to keep – they're going the other direction, right? I mean,
Jaylen Brown tonight. Oh, Lord, 9 straight makes.
The majority of these games coming up, that West Coast road trip is no cakewalk. But, I mean, outside of that, it's a really long season, Bobby. It's a really long season. And we talked about how ridiculous it was, the fact that Celtics were number 1 after all those postponed games. Now they have to make those games up. Those are winnable games. It's just that this schedule, it doesn't make things any easier. However, those 2 guys, man, they continue to heat up. They're playing next to each other again. 5 games, Tatum missed. Now he's back into the fold. I think it's just only going to get better between those 2. It really is.
We're welcoming Jimmy Toscano back here.
Jimmy.
What's up, Jimmy? I like you top right. Okay.
Jimmy, did he get a water?
You like me top right? I did not get a water.
Jimmy didn't know he was. He didn't even know he was off. He just realized.
Keep the clown show at the top level, and then down below is.
I just got a good look
for a little bit of reason.
So I actually can't see the comments as they're coming in, but I just got to look at them as I was off, and people are very upset with me. It sounds like. So I'm yeah, don't look at the comments for sure. I usually
never
don't.
Ever.
No, he just ran off to tweet. Like I said, one of the commenters just said it. He just ran off to tweet Tristan and Chloe, and he's back, and we're good to go. But
no, I listen. I stand by that. 5 people, I'll follow you back. Whatever it is. I think Tristan needs a little help right now. That's all.
So I mean,
I don't think that's crazy.
Major takeaway is here. We're concerned about the level of help on this team as is, and so we were worried about Kemba's health. Right now, we're worried about Kemba's performance. Bobby, can you get closer to the screen? You're like way back, my man. Thank you.
I know. It was like as the show goes, he keeps going fun.
He's on the couch.
I'm relaxed. Wait till you see me at 2 a.m. next week.
He's gonna be screaming down the hall next shot.
If Smart goes down, you're even thinner there. We've got some serious problems, but you still can't deny that. Again, no matter what, the Tatum Brown combo doing what they're doing on a nightly basis makes this so you almost don't need anybody else. Like you do and you don't. Yeah. Meaning you can't get to the finals with just those 2 guys and nobody else. But like nothing about the future of this team really matters any more than the fact that these guys are, we keep saying it, legitimately 2 of the now 15 best players in the NBA. And you're getting it nightly. And tonight it was like, I mean, tonight was one of those nights where they were both like crazy efficient. You almost wish they each shot 30 times tonight because the way that they were going, I mean, they were.
That might happen, John. Yeah. That might happen one of these nights.
They were walking to the basket against the best defense in the league.
Easily. Yeah,
I think that's what's most encouraging. That's the biggest takeaway you can come away from this game for the Celtics. You know, when you think about what they did on this stage against the Lakers, the champion Lakers, a hungry Lakers team, they were on the verge of losing 3 straight.
Right.
I mean, let's see where this thing goes. Let's see how far they can take the Celtics team. It's just unfortunate that we're not going to see a complete team the way we envisioned it, because Marcus Smart's a huge chunk of that. He's a huge part of this team's identity and what they do.
What are you smiling at, Jimmy?
Well, Joe Sway's
I think he just walked into the comment section.
No, I'm not looking. I literally can't see it. I only made that reaction because Joe Sway's like, it's unfortunate that like we won't see the Celtics. Like, you're already calling Marcus Smart out for the rest of the year. Like, let's wait and see. We panicked about Peyton Pritchard, and luckily it wasn't as bad as what we thought it was going to be. So, you know, let's just wait and see. Like, that's all. I mean, sorry for being like sorry for being the glass half full guy. I'm not the doom and gloom guy like to the guy to my.
I'm not doom and gloom. I just simply said everything is fine as long as. What does anybody listen?
You guys.
I literally started the point off by saying there's nothing to worry about with this team as long as you've got these two guys. You can surround them with hot garbage, and as a Celtics fan, you can't really be that concerned. Because
that's not true, though.
I'm saying this year. It's frustrating that they botched the offseason as badly as they did. It's frustrating because right now, the way that these guys are playing, you could surround them with just okay players, and they're absolutely in the mix for getting to the conference finals or to the finals. Absolutely are. But the Teague was a nothing signing. Thompson right now is an absolute bust. And so you just didn't help them at all. You didn't help them in any way. And you're not getting anything out of your draft.
Of course, I agree with that.
Hopefully you get something out of Pritchard. Hopefully you're seeing Neesmith. That's why we're begging for Neesmith and Romeo to ascend into something, because you just needed to give them a little bit of help on the trajectory that they're on.
Don just throws Romeo in there like it's nothing.
You know how I feel about Romeo.
I know, but you throw him in there like he's anywhere near a court right now or close to coming back. But it's just funny to me. I know you want to see him so badly, because I do too. He has those weapons that could really help this team right now, but unfortunately he's not in the mix.
Yeah, people are asking, there's a lot of this in the chat, and I'm going to say right now, the answer is Kemba is absolutely not tradable. He's not tradable. It's not just performance, it's the fear about the injury, it's the fact that he's an aging smaller guard. It's everything right now. Kemba Walker is and at his salary, Kemba Walker is actually impossible to trade.
Plus, who's really looking for a guard like that? You know what I mean? So many teams out there that they're all set at the point guard position, especially with that price tag on him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's impossible to trade. But
if it was an expiring deal,
trash trade. You're talking about Westbrook or John Wall. Well, not even Wall.
Right now.
Trash for trash.
Why are we want to trade Kemba anyways?
He's not trash. For the record, everybody watching right now, he's not Kemba Walker.
I'm saying you're only getting a contract people don't want. He's not trash. He's just not traded.
Yeah. I get it. Right now he's not, but I mean, let's say this: he's healthier than I think John, me, and you are close to apologize, Cam, even though he missed that shot tonight. I think Kemba Walker is getting a lot closer to being Kemba Walker than we thought he'd be a month ago, right? So he's not trash, certainly, but he's also not tradable. So I totally get that because of his contract. So I understand both sides of the equation. But the longer he plays the way we know Kemba Walker to play, the less unlikely it would be if the Celtics can trade him, right? I mean, he's certainly never going to be the centerpiece of a trade at this stage in his career and all that stuff. He's not a young player. He's not, a low contract. I get it. But to say that he's trash is not quite. And I know what you're saying. I know what John's saying, but I know what John's saying, but it's a little over the top.
There was a time last year where he was the best player on the team at the very beginning. Then he slipped back into more of a secondary role, but was still explosive to jump on and off the ball, where he could be your best player any given night. His days of being the best player on the team are slammed shut. Now, that doesn't make him trash. That doesn't make him unproductive. That doesn't make him a useful asset going forward. He's not,
but he makes $30 million a year, and he's untradeable. I don't know.
He's untradeable.
So what's going to have to happen here?
In terms of his value, guys.
He's not hugely different than Isaiah Thomas before he hurt his hip in terms of value.
He's a better defender.
A scorer, yeah, but a guy, a lighted up scorer. Actually, I mean, he's worse than pre-hip Isaiah, and it's not actually close. But the type of guy that you would sign to be an electric little scorer coming off your bench, that's who he is at this stage in his career. I don't even know that he's a lockdown starting player on every single team out there.
He's still a starter. He's still a starter, John.
Maybe, not everywhere,
We'll see.
Not everywhere.
Honestly, he might be a better second unit scorer, and that's just at 30-something million. That's just not something you. If the Celtics had different or better options, it's possible Kemba could come off the bench, and he'd be fine. He could still be extreme value. He's paid to be a star, and he's not a star anymore. And I don't know that and you can't trade that contract at his position, at his age, with the injury history for anything. Really.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just right now.
So
it's about
him get better. He's just got to be better.
Exactly. He's going to be better. He's got to get whatever it is that Kemba needs to do to feel more comfortable out there. He's got to do, because I haven't seen a whole lot of it, which is weird because I feel like the first couple of hours he looks a bit more comfortable than he does now, whereas he's trying to do a little bit too much. Maybe it's Tatum and Brown that has something to do with that. He's trying to adapt or blend back in with those guys, and I don't think that's necessarily going to be an issue or a struggle at the gate. It's just going to be about the rest of the team being able to string together wins under this new formula, it seems like, whereas Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have to, put the team on their back and whatever you get from Kemba. But on the defensive end, if everyone is not doing what they need to do, they're going to lose a lot of games. I mean, that's a tough spot to be in, whereas before this team was projected to be a better defensive team and use that to propel their offense for other guys to step up. I'm not seeing a whole lot of other guys step up. It seemed like they were on their way to doing that, or at least on that road a week ago. But between the injuries and seeing Marcus Smart go down, and when the offense goes cold and the defense can't string together stops, it's just a completely different team, especially in the fourth quarter. This is 2 games back to back where we saw this team really struggle. Now I know in this one, losing Marcus Smart had a whole lot to do with that, but still in that fourth quarter, stringing together defensive stops continues to be an issue for this team.
Yeah,
I'll say this.
Half of our thread wants to play Pritchard more than Kemba right now. Half of our viewers, just saying.
But you're probably gonna get an even split when he gets back, maybe.
John, the fact that you would even post Kemba is trash is disrespectful. I'm actually upset with you.
We're still on.
You don't have to post every comment that comes in. Second of all, I'll say this.
Trust me, you're doing it.
I'm not. I can't dodge them. Every other comment is Kemba is trash.
Everyone wants to trade him.
Bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah, keep that scary Terry stuff down too.
The people that are
all right, how about this one, Jimmy? Ready? Fine. There you go.
The people that are saying Kemba is trash, I appreciate you guys watching the show, but that's a garbage take. I will say this. Anybody who listened to the press conferences or watched them or wherever you guys consume them, Kemba said clear on out. He's like, I don't want Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum to change their games at all. He goes, I need to change what I do to make this work. Exactly. And that to me is exactly why I've been sticking with Kemba Walker this whole time.
I agree.
Because he's the type of player and the type of person that will, I don't want to say take a back seat, but will adjust his game and do what's best for the team to win. Because that's what he wants to do. And there are a lot of star point guards in this league. And we always talk about the fact that point guards are the most interchangeable players in the NBA. But there's a lot of times where point guards are the biggest divas in the NBA too. And Kemba Walker just isn't that. He's not a diva. He never has been. The only time you hear about Kemba Walker or see Kemba Walker is prior to Boston is when he was hitting a game-winning shot in Charlotte. You never really heard him otherwise. So the fact that he goes out of his way to say that, he wants to do what's best for the team and adjust his game for the young guys, that's why I've stuck with Kemba Walker this entire time. Even wasn't,
and I believe him too.
Whatever you call.
It's not a thing he says. It's a thing that we've seen him do. He did it last year. He went from being the top option at the start of the year to accommodating Tatum in a way where they could both find success. It's going to be even more difficult now, and I wrote about this when he came back, for him to take on a third role, for him to move behind Brown. And he's doing it so far, but he's not doing it successfully. So we're talking about 3-4 games now where he's moving into a completely new role. that's challenging for a guy who's never played off the ball a little bit more, who's never had to get his looks within the flow of the offense. Since day one, he started playing basketball. This has been a guy with the ball in his hands who makes it happen off the dribble, who scores. And I believe he could make a transition to a more secondary role. Now, people get ridiculous with the money. He's not going to be worth $34 million as he moves into that role. That's just what it is. You'd still rather have him than what you could slide into that salary slot at $34 million, whether it's a couple decent wings or another overpaid player like Russell Westbrook, as John mentioned. So you paid $34 million to get him here and have that sensational first season. Now it's not going to be the same, obviously. Even with health, even if he's at his most healthiest and this knee procedure works, Tatum and Brown run the team. And that's not going to change no matter how well Kemba plays. So it was going to be a transition for him no matter what. It's just a little rockier than I think some people were expecting him coming back in. And again, the last few losses that we've seen are a product of this team trying to figure it out too. The rotations have been wide. There's been more people encompassed. These are part of the early season adjustments that the team has to make to figure out what they have. They got to see what Nesmith has. They got to give Semi opportunities in these games to see if he is that rotation piece. And then all of a sudden you end up playing 12, 13 guys a game like they have the last two nights. But what are we talking about here? We're like 2 or 3 games into the whole team being healthy. You wish it was more smooth. You wish it was just everybody falling into place and making an immediate impact and the team getting off on a roll. We thought that might have been the case when Kemba had those first 2 games coming back, but those were against Cleveland and a Chicago team. Or it was the Chicago, it was the game before that. But, it's just not smooth right now. There's a lot of issues when it comes to the rotations. Not enough guys are able to get rhythm. They're trying too many different things, and that can have an impact on a team's flow. And what do we keep hearing with Kemba? You got to get him into a flow. So maybe the bench is eventually that option for him because he can get a longer run of running his own unit and playing with other guys and making plays for them off of him. He might ultimately be that guy who leads the second unit this year. And that doesn't mean they're benching him for Pritchard. And
it doesn't. It just means, look, what did we say last time? So again, I'm not going back to what did I say, but I mean, I think it makes sense to work lineups where Kemba, Tatum, and Brown aren't all on the floor at the same time, and you're trying to spread those minutes out throughout the game. Pick the closing lineup you need based on the need. You need defense, you need offense. You're going to switch things around there. But I do see lineups where those guys aren't all out there, and it could start with the starting lineup where you could theoretically work in somebody else. Again, Smart throws the whole thing into complete upheaval if he's out for extended
period. But it also opens up an opportunity here, and that's not to say
MRI tomorrow morning.
And I'm seeing, and again, I don't mean to be an alarmist on it, but I'm seeing people starting to tweet like slow-mo that video where you see that little ripple in the calf, and it's very scary. So again, fingers crossed for Marcus.
Wait,
but,
what?
Bobby, what's your opportunity?
The opportunity is for Pritchard. And what did we see from Pritchard this year? A guy who can dedicate his minutes to spreading the ball out, being a focal point facilitator, and finding other guys and not always looking to score himself. He would get into the lane in an effort to feed Tatum on cuts and Brown on cuts and look for them at the three-point line. Sort of like, and I've seen commenters make this comparison, Gordon Hayward last year. He can get his, but he's going to get his within the flow while trying to create for others. And it's what Hayward did so well last year. It's why I wanted him back. It's what almost turned around that Heat series if Hayward was a little more healthier. He was able to glue together Brown and Kemba and Tatum in such an effective way. And you don't get all that extra shooting that you get with Smart. Now, defense is what you really miss with Smart out. But this could be something that unlocks the offense a little more. And if they start to hammer down this Tice Rob thing at the center wing spot, they could maybe be a little bit better defensively too. Now, we're so early into all of this. The sample size on Pritchard's success has been small too. He might come back and run into some struggles going against first units because he was playing second units before. But we're starting to see through this experimentation early in the year some things that could work for this team. And if it adds a few more losses, if it drops them a few more seeds in the standings, it'll be worth it in the end.
Well, okay, that's our show.
Kemba will be fine.
Kemba?
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine. I mean, like we're gonna sit here and break down every game of Kemba Walker. Listen, 1 of 12 is obviously disgusting. Nobody wants to see that at the point guard. But what are you gonna do? I mean, we sat here last week and we're like, oh, should Kemba come off the bench? Like, I mean, no.
No, it's not about starting. He's
right?
never gonna come off the bench over anyway. And
no, he's not gonna come off the bench, but like he's also gonna be there. He's going to be in while he's on the Celtics. He will be in the game at the end of every game. Can we all agree on that? For better or for worse? And again, it comes down to, and I know before Kemba was healthy, me and John sat there and said nobody else should ever sniff a shot before Tatum or Brown do. But now that Kemba Walker is back, like that's fair game. Like I honestly, like at least as far as I'm concerned, I'm just as okay with him taking that shot as I am with Brown or Tatum taking that shot.
I am too. The other concerning thing with Kemba isn't just early shooting struggles as he's kind of coming back from the thing. Him playing against longer and taller teams. I mean,
I think that was the issue as much as anything tonight.
That's a disaster for him, and it's dating back to last year. In the second part of the season, he just gets eaten alive because he can't get it. Yeah, I mean, how many times he have his shot blocked tonight? It felt like 11. I think it was probably 2 or 3, but like it felt like
some of those shots too. It was like not even close.
It was terrible. Yeah. So 1 of 12, and he probably got 3 or 4 shots blocked as well.
I mean there's no defending 1 of 12.
Do you guys think he can become an off-ball player, catch and shoot guy?
I think
he will. I think he will have to be
if it's possible.
Hopefully he's not at that stage of his career, but I think that's going to be the next stage.
No, but even in a game like this, if that's where you have to go, you want bigger guys getting into the lane and freeing him up outside. Like there's scenarios where that's just going to have to be what he does a little bit more. I'm not saying he has to become Semi-Ojeley in the corner, but it's a career adjustment for him right now as he moves into the next phase. He needs to be a little bit more of a catch and shoot, flow of the offense, cutting kind of guy. And it's not going to be easy. Like this is his whole life.
It's not a thing. He likes to kind of jiggle and wiggle and get around people and work off the screens and find his spot and get into that lane and get his little pull up. That's his thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing, guys. He's never dealt with an injury. It's like this whole thing is new to him, and especially on this level where he's not coming back to play for the Hornets just so they can win a couple of games. Like this is just. I think the whole thing is different. And I like what Jason Tatum had to say.
He has to learn that off-ball thing because it's not just he's less effective. You don't want the ball in his hands that much.
You don't want it to stick. No, I got you. Right.
You want it to run to other people.
Doesn't do Tatum and Brown any favors, but he knows that. It's about him adjusting. And I like what Tatum had to say tonight. He said, look, we just need to do a better job of getting him involved while he's out there. That's just it, he says. He's one of the best players in the league. Once he finds his rhythm, we'll be clicking on all cylinders. So I agree with that. But
true.
Marcus, the second unit, there's concerns.
It's great if it happens, but sometimes it doesn't happen. That's the thing. There's a lot of times where you have a player who's done one thing for a while and then they don't, and you think, oh, well, they'll get back to it because they've done it. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. The concern here is it's a trend. You're seeing it from last year into the beginning of this year. So you need to see an upswing at some point to feel better about it. You can't keep staying flat or going down and just saying he'll eventually be that because he once was. Eventually players start to fall.
But it's like before the season started, though, John. Before the season started, what do we say? If you get bubble Kemba, that's a win. That's best case scenario. Regular season 2019, 2020 Kemba, that guy's gone. I'm with you on that. But again, we haven't seen that guy, the bubble version of Kemba. 19 points, shooting well below 50%. I don't know what he shot, 44% from the floor. 39 from the yard. Somewhere around there.
He has to learn to play a little bit off the ball more and be involved.
I get he has to keep his game a bit.
I'd love to see you'd love to see a little Ray Allen just run around screens sort of thing.
It wasn't easy for Ray either,
What's that, Bobby?
It wasn't immediate for Ray either, and he picked it up faster because he had the skills that boded well for it, but it wasn't immediate.
Right. That's not who he was to start. And that's Kemba would be much better off if that's what he was. Little Energizer Bunny running all around off of screens, catching the corner and shoot, tire out bigger guards trying to follow him around. I think that would be a better use for him than what he does now. It just doesn't fit this team, and it doesn't fit who he is right now.
And he's never tried it at a big sample. Like, we just don't have a book out there on whether he can do it or whether he can't. So I don't know. I asked you guys. The book isn't out there on him being that kind of player. He's never done it ever in his life. So who knows? He could be a 40% catch and shoot guy. He's got a great shot.
Yep.
It's just how they're going to get him into that position more and more. And he's still in an in-between spot where it's going to be tough for Brad, because there are going to be nights where he's an awesome scorer off the dribble, and you can still take advantage of that, especially in certain matchups. And you want to cater to a veteran and still allow him to do what he wants to do and put him in a position where he's happy and wants to succeed and all that stuff. The good thing is Kemba is conciliatory toward it. So I think they can find a middle ground there that works for both of them, where he still is able to get on the ball a little bit and make those plays, but also start to make that transition, because he's here through 2023. This is what I keep saying. They need to get him not only for this year, but for the long-term success of the team into a spot where he can be successful in all of those seasons and not just completely fade away in the role he's in now, because he could still do this for the rest of this year and they could probably get somewhere good. He's not going to be doing this in 2023.
Yeah, it's where we are on it. Anything else on this game? And again, the story of it, sloppy game for the Celtics. Smart goes down. Kemba has a rough game.
And Rob was awesome.
Celtics had more turnovers than field goals in the fourth quarter. I mean, if they just played the Lakers even there, they'd be fine. I mean, just a trash game all in all. Rob Williams passed Tristan Thompson on the depth chart, and we think that that's a good thing. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we put a bow on it?
I've just been
I just feel like if the Celtics played their game, they win this game tonight. I mean, and we can, as we did, we criticize every negative thing they did tonight. Obviously, we talked about Kemba for a while, and obviously Smart going down. But if the Celtics play their style of basketball, I still feel like and I know that they're, what are they, 5th right now in the Eastern Conference or something right around there. I still feel like they are right there. It's a wide open Eastern Conference. And I was on a podcast yesterday, and people want to say, where do you think the Celtics are, in relation to the rest of the league? I think they're right there. I really do. And I know before the season started, we were like, how are they going to score? And maybe we didn't realize that Jaylen Brown was going to do his thing the way he was, or, Jason Tatum's doing his thing. But I do think that they are right there. I don't know what they're going to do to the trade deadline. I think they'll do something small. But again, it's a wide open Eastern Conference. There's like 5 teams right now where I feel like 2 of those 5 could very easily be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mark Jackson in this awful national broadcast tonight. One thing,
you were so bad. You were so bad tonight.
God, it's like
I'm on the Grandy train. Come on, him and Max.
Oh God, it was so bad. It was like, this isn't basketball. They dribble it. LeBron James is good at sports. It's so 101 national ABC broadcast. But one thing Mark Jackson said was that in his opinion, even though the Lakers look like the favorites, clear-cut favorites, he doesn't think any team can't be beaten by another team right now. I would actually agree. I still think the Celtics are in the mix of about 6 to 8 teams, ish, that absolutely have a shot if things start to go differently, a trade, an acquisition, things gel, Celtics are absolutely in the conversation. So that's why I don't feel bad about anything with the Celtics right now, because the entire key to their season, as we said, is the continued progress and ascension of the Jays, and you're seeing it. So you just need some stuff to fall into place in and around it, and they absolutely can be in that conversation. I'm not concerned about it at all. Record means nothing right now. It's still disappointing that you're seeing bad Tristan and bad Kemba to this point, and Smart could be a real problem. So it could just as easily go in the other direction as it could go up. But I definitely don't think there's anything we've seen from the Celtics right now where you're like, oh yeah, they're toast this year. No way.
Nothing. No. I mean, Smart's the huge. I mean, if we want to boil it,
that's a tough one.
If you want to boil it down to it tonight, I mean, the only thing that matters tonight is what's up with Marcus Smart. I mean, you lose the game to the Lakers, a sloppy game. you could have won that game. It comes down to a Kemba Walker shot. But at the end of the day, what's the deal with Marcus Smart? So, I mean, we'll be back here, at the next show, and that's really going to be the difference in everything.
Let's not make no mistake, too. We're spreading things out, and I've said this early in the show. You're putting a lot more on the table to be exposed because they're looking for things. But if you boil this down to the best parts, Tatum scoring 30 and 40 minutes, walking through this defense. Brown, 9 straight buckets, easy 28, just blowing by everybody LA put in front of them. And then Tyson Rob's success in this one. There are positives in the core rotation of the team that you really like. Like the top 6-7 rotation in this team is still looking to be pretty solid once you iron everything out and figure out what's going on with Kemba here. And that Tice Rob thing, more than anything, intrigues me to the heavens. I'm so intrigued by even starting that lineup. Like if Smart's not available next game, forget whether it's long term or short term, that's what you start next game, isn't it? Rob, Tice, Tatum, Brown, and Kemba.
I think that is your starting lineup.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
And then you get Thompson those secondary minutes. I think that's a great way to figure out how to get minutes for all 3 of those guys right now.
We shall see. I mean, I hope it isn't, just because I don't want Marcus Smart to be out for an extended period of time. But if that's what it takes to, or not what it takes, but if that's the fix to what Brad Stevens thinks, then, we'll obviously see how it goes.
I'm pretty worried about Marcus, but we'll
Of course you are.
We'll do another show.
You are worried about anything. A hangnail. John's like, cut off the finger. Just cut off the finger. Get it over with, cut it off, and get him used to shooting with 4 fingers.
And then
live
with
John.
I know that, John. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Don't drag this out. Just cut the finger off and let him get used to shooting with that.
It's better this way. Trust me.
Yeah.
John, you like Marcus. You like Marcus Smart. You flop so much that now you're not getting foul calls when you actually did get fouled. You're getting words put in your mouth because of your negativity of the past. So you're gonna have to work on your image.
Yeah. Oh, it's my image.
Ooh. Wow.
My image. I'm pretty worried about it, but
shall see. We'll find out tomorrow.
We'll see.
We shall see.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have loved to hear. I've been mining Twitter for some positive, there's a whole lot of hopefully, but there was a little bit of past tense, talking about Marcus, and that always worries me. We'll just have to on, and he's so important to us, and hopefully it's negative. We'll see.
He was such a good guy. We're really gonna miss him.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Can I have his stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Damn. So we'll wrap up. We do want to tell you guys about things that you can do involving razors and clippers and shears and powders,
lower body,
and cologne, and
mats on the floor.
Your lower body, your nether regions. If you get Manscaped products, and Jimmy made the best point of all during the last time we endorsed this product. First off, 20% off. Use the code PressPass20, manscaped.com. You get the whole New Year's grooming kit, which has the 3.0 lawnmower. You've got some powder. You've got some spray. You've got new boxers. You've got a travel bag. There's a whole bunch that goes in it. But Jimmy's point was the best point. You need something like this as a guy. You need it in your arsenal. You got to have it. So
you just need it.
Just get this.
It's not going to go away.
Just get this. You're going to have to get it at some point or another.
It's going nowhere unless you do something about it. So, take 20% off to do something about it. Take the 20
and run. Yeah.
And not only, some people have those things, but they've worn away. The batteries die.
Just get this. You'll have it. Just get it.
This is most likely a one-time purchase, or at least a 10-year purchase. You know what I mean? Maybe in 10 years, you're just I don't even care anymore. But get this right now. Press Pass 20.
The value of it is way more than exactly. I'm with you, Jimmy.
And trust me, in July, when you're you know what, the boys want to go out tonight, or the girls want to go out tonight, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're gonna be ready to go. You're gonna be ready to go.
That's what they are, ball trimmers. We can say it.
Certain girls I don't know. You guys are gonna be ready to go. You know what I mean? So just go for it. Just
It's important, fellas.
who cares?
Important.
I mean, what are we even talking about here? This is
we talked about it last episode.
Right? Jimmy rant. Yeah,
it matters.
You want
girls talk about.
I don't think
that.
Is it just your balls?
It's not just your balls.
You can get creative.
You can use it for your nose. I mean, I'm not going to get any closer, but you get nose trimmers. You could probably do some.
No, don't use the ball trimmer on your nose.
Okay, that's it.
That's a totally different. Yeah,
that's a veteran example there. But you can get creative though.
Separate.
Honestly, though, you could probably use it on your chest. And honestly, like some girls are into it, some girls aren't. You got to figure out what you're going for. But at least like. Just clean it up a little bit. 20% off. Like, honestly, not that bad. Not that bad.
It's like some you definitely shave your chest.
Your balls will thank you. It's not just your balls, but your balls. According to John, he said it a few times. They will thank you. Is that correct, John?
Thank you. One at a time. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. You get it both. So that's it. Press pass 20, use the code, go get some. Celtics lose.
Who do we got next?
Sacramento Kings, right?
Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday.
The West Coast trip begins.
Well, Celtics got some time. They've got some time off right now. We're rare time off.
But then that West Coast trip, man, kicks off Tuesday.
Right.
Oh no, Warriors first, then the Kings on Wednesday, back to back.
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, you're right. Warriors is first.
Yeah.
Me and John are going to be running through those two.
All right, so that's it. That's what they got out west. We are, as we promised, going to do shows, regardless of how many of us are here, even if it's just a Bobby monologue. Because he's
Garden Report.
He's the youngest. He's got the most energy. He's up the latest.
And we make him work all hours.
At the very least, you're going to get me and Bobby, and that could get spicy.
That's two ends of the spectrum.
At some point,
it could get spicy without a moderator.
But hey,
how about Nick Joso? Maybe he's feeling like a night owl one night.
Late night, Nick. Oh man, can you imagine?
Nick at night. We've already pitched it.
Oh, that's right. We talked about this.
We're branding it. Nick at night. We're gonna get
way past Nick's bedtime. Way past Nick's bedtime.
That Warriors game must be national TV. Nick at night.
Once again, just want to tell everybody everything. We love having you. We had a good group tonight. We're around 1,000 for most of the night, which is phenomenal. In and out. We love the comments. We love the engagement. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. You'll get notified every time we go live. Either this, we have our main channel, our Celtics channel, tons of content on those as well, in addition to a whole bunch of podcasts. We run through them every time. But again, Josue Pavone's got one, Causeway Street. Jimmy just got Bobby Manning with Dome Theory. You have Jeff Goodman and Bob Ryan. You have Cedric Maxwell. You have Celtics Beat with Adam Kaufman and Evan Valenti. You have Winning Plays with B-Rob, Michael Pina, and Rich Levine. You have the A-List podcast with Sean Blakely and Kwani Lunis, where literally you can't possibly get more basketball experts in one place than we have under our roof here at CLNS Media. So subscribe to the channel, subscribe to all of those podcasts for nonstop basketball coverage. Some of these things are twice a week too. So you're loaded. Julian is clamoring for it. The Jimmy John podcast is development.
Hey, Jimmy John, let's go.
It's in the works, but I want to say
you guys better have me on it.
I want to say just one little thing before we close out. A lot of accusations are flying tonight, and I mean flying in the comment sections. I'll respond by saying this. Sorry for having fun. Sorry for having a little bit of fun and like hanging out with the boys and like talking basketball. Oh, my bad. Oh,
cut his mic.
All of a sudden I'm trying to have a good time with the boys and like I'm a liability. So
we don't have a mute button here on the Garden Report. We just
yes, we do.
Goes.
There it is. I do.
Hey. You need to grab it with that.
I could have exercised it much earlier, but I just wanted to see where he was going to take it.
I was going to say, you could have done this the whole time.
The whole time.
Don't ask for the Jimmy John's podcast in one breath, and then in the other breath be like, oh, this guy's this guy's that. Like, you know what? You can't have it both ways, boys. So figure it out. That's all I'm going to say.
You got that, Jimmy. That's a good point.
That's my
There's your
rant.
Jimmy
So,
rant. People are asking
one
for
way
that.
or the other, fellas. One way or the other. You can't have it both ways.
Just like Marcus Smart.
Thank you. Finally, John's
Right.
posting some
Exactly.
pro Jimmy comments.
Exactly.
John
has the comment. John. A lot of people don't know this. John controls the comments, so he can shape however he wants the show to go.
Did
So
you
if he
just
wants to
change
go
mics?
anti-Jimmy,
What's going on?
he can. If he wants to go pro Jimmy, he can. Isn't that right, John?
That's correct.
Am I not putting up favorable comments?
Yeah, this is all love right here.
Okay.
This is what I like. This is what I like to
That's
see.
what you get.
So yeah,
Jimmy never had the Fuzzy Dunlop is
has he
literally
been going in? Has Fuzzy
no.
been
It's
going
another phenomenal quote. It's another phenomenal quote from another HBO hit. But Fuzzy brings them. This is Sopranos.
in?
You
Okay.
never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
If you want to get on the comment section, just quote The Sopranos or The Wire, and you will get on every single
You can
time.
go. You want to get deeper than that? You can go Kids in the Hall. You can go Mr. Show. You can go Arrested Development. You can do a lot of different things, and you're going to find your way. I have more stupid quotes in my head than any than everything else added together.
You have quotes in your head the way Bob Ryan has box scores in his.
No kidding. I'm like, I have movie and TV show quotes in my head like Bob Ryan has 1960s box scores, right?
You can say the fucking date of when these games were played. It's insane.
Bobby John wouldn't be the ideal route there. I don't think there'd be too much TV talk between the two of us. I mean, Jimmy Johns is the perfect title, perfect mesh of personalities.
I like it.
Bobby
We
just
get no SEO.
I don't want to do a podcast with John, and that's fine. I can live with that.
We just fight the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, guys. That's it. Good night. We'll see you guys later.
Hold on, real quick, guys, before we get out of here. For your local viewers out there, if you're not doing anything, the 12:20 tomorrow, tune in to 98.5 The Sports Hub. You'll hear more of this, I guess. More Celtics talk. If you haven't gotten enough from Joe Sway. Yes, I am. So check me out if you're not doing anything on your Sunday afternoon.
Who's hosting, Joe Sway?
Christian Arcane, my boy.
What are you
that's
hitting
great.
on tomorrow, Joe Sway? What are you hitting on?
You gotta tune in, bro. I gotta find out. I had to save some of the sizzling hot takes for tomorrow, I guess.
Who are you with tomorrow?
Christian Arcane.
All right. Wow.
98.5 the Brockton Hub.
Julie. I might have to call in and give you a little hard time, bro. Now that I know. That was a mistake.
We'll turn it into an impromptu garden report. We'll all just
if you're awake at that time,
hijack the 98.5.
98.5 The Sports Hub Radio, 1220. Go see Joe. Go listen to Joe Sway.
Give him a call.
Joe Sway, if you don't mention the garden report at least 6 times in your 12-minute stint tomorrow, we're gonna have a problem.
Yo,
they're probably gonna lead in with that. That's probably gonna be our introduction.
Show, you better call in tomorrow and talk to Joe Sway, and you better name all of us in the show.
All right. Next time we'll work on Jimmy's mic. That's why it's completely. We can barely.
It got worse towards the end, but we could talk about it afterwards.
I tossed Jimmy. Gone. All right. We'll see you guys.